Hi, I'm Lindsay Burrow. Not long ago, my husband, the rugby league player Rob Burrow, and I made a special podcast series, chatting to other sporting stars. Rob had motor neuron disease and he spoke with the help of an eye gaze machine, but he wasn't afraid to ask the guests some really cheeky questions. Sadly, Rob passed away on the 2nd of June 2024, but I know he'd want you to enjoy watching this podcast too. All episodes of Rob Burrow 7 Meets are available on BBC Sounds. Enjoy.
To launch my podcast, the person I'm chatting to thinks I'm brilliant. I want to laugh out loud saying that, and I think you will too when you hear who my guest is. He's a household name and a sporting legend, someone who at the age of 16 made his professional football debut at Everton. He's widely considered one of the best players of his generation, and now he's a well-sought-after football manager. It's quite a thing when someone you admire turns out to be a fan of yours as well. This person is a big Leeds Rhinos fan, and I'm pleased to say someone I consider a friend. It's my pleasure to welcome Wayne Rooney.
Yay!
Thank you, great to be here. Great to see you both, really, so I'm excited.
It means a lot to get you involved in my podcast. Lindsay is here with me to help me with my gaze machine so I can ask you my questions. Are you ready for us to get started?
I'm ready. Fire away. Let's go.
One of my memories is when you came to the Rhinos team hotel the night before the 2012 grand final against Warrington and presented us with our team shirts. Can you remember what you said to me, the bits you're allowed to repeat, and how you felt meeting the boys ahead of the match?
Yeah, I remember Kev getting in touch with me and asking me to come down and just meet the players really and say hello. And so I'm excited, obviously, excited for the game. And I was nervous, if I'm being honest. I was really nervous to come down, and I got into rugby league. I'd obviously always watched it, but I really started getting into it when I was about 17, 18, and I remember thinking there's no way I was going to support St Helens, Warrington, Wigan, because they're all fake Scousers. I was thinking, right, what team am I going to support? I remember it was a Friday night and I'm watching the Rhinos play, and I was gripped. And then from that moment, really, and I knew that it was controversial, obviously, as well, playing for Manchester United and that rivalry with Leeds and Manchester United in football. So I knew it was a controversial decision, but just from watching that first game, the Rhinos, I was gripped to them as players, as a team. And then Kev met me at the hotel lobby. So he said, all right, I've got all the players lined up and waiting for you. So I was like, what do you mean? He said, oh yeah, they're all waiting for you to come in and speak to the players. But I thought it was just to come down as a general chat. And then I walked in the room and everyone sat there waiting. And I remember looking, thinking, Jesus, these are all massive, they're huge. And then just really a bit nervous to speak to everyone, what to say. Didn't know what to say really, but ultimately it was just really enjoy it and go out and obviously give everything to try and win the game. And I remember going up, driving home that night thinking, if these don't win, this is going to be my fault. So thankfully, he went on to win the next day. But no, it was great to be a part of it, but it was actually quite intimidating as well.
It's quite surreal, I think, hearing that, because, you know, I think many of those players in the Leeds Rhino squad would have looked up to you. So to actually kind of hear you say it was quite intimidating. You know, I remember Rob messaging me saying, you know, never guess who's come in. So it was like, oh my goodness, you know. So for us, it was, you know, a massive thing. But yeah, it's quite interesting to hear you say that it was quite intimidating.
Yeah, it was. And remember the manager, McDermott, at the time saying, because Ryan Bailey was quite young as well. And he was saying, can you try and speak to him? And I think he was a bit of a mad one. At the time, can you try and speak to him, connect with him from your level? I was like, what am I meant to say here? Because at the time as well, I think I was a bit mad as well. So you probably weren't the best idea to have us two connected, because honestly, it was nerve-wracking. Big group of big men to try and give them some inspiration to win the game. And I was only a young lad as well at the time, so it was really nerve-wracking to say the least.
Moving on to your next question, Rob.
You were literally still a child when your sporting career began. Talk to me about how you felt back then, being so young. Did you ever feel like there was too much pressure too soon?
Do you know what? I think when I was young, there's a lot of pressure, of course, but I was a really confident person and confident in my own ability to to go out and perform. And I probably got more upset and not upset, more frustrated at the time with my teammates rather than myself at the time, because I know what I wanted to do and what I could do, but at being such a young player coming into the Premier League at 16, I didn't understand why some of the teammates couldn't do what I thought they could or what you'd expect them to be able to do. So, but the pressure, of course, playing for Everton at 16, then England at 17, the pressure was huge, but I don't think it hit me till I was about early 20s. I was just playing with no fear and just going out and trying to destroy really everything which was in front of me.
I'm going to talk to you about something personal to me, because when I was first diagnosed with motor neuron disease, I was terrified. What I've realised is, whilst my body does not work mentally, I can still stay in control. I refuse to give in. I will fight and continue to fight to my very last breath and use positivity to get me through. Can I ask you, Wayne, how do you overcome difficult things in your life? Can you give me an example from either your professional career or personal life?
Yeah, and I think, Rob, it's so inspiring, you know, seeing how positive you are. I know first-hand impact what this can have, obviously, for yourself, but for the people closest to you. Everyone has to change the way and the way of living and the way of life. And I had that with my sister-in-law, who suffered not the same illness, but something as severe as well. So I think your energy and you staying strong really helps everyone else around you. And of course, I'll always be here, and no doubt 1,000,000% your family and close friends will always be there to help you with whatever you need. You're the inspiring person in this. I can see the money you're raising for charity, everything you're doing to turn this situation into a positive and try and help others. It's really inspiring.
Wayne, can you give an example of when you've had some adversity in your, be that playing career or your personal life, of a challenging time and how you've dealt with it?
I've had many different challenges, both on the pitch and off the pitch also, and my release was alcohol when I was in my early 20s, and I'd go home, I'd spend, you know, a couple of days at home and wouldn't move out the house and drink really almost until you pass out. And I didn't want to be around people because, you know, sometimes you feel embarrassed, sometimes you feel like you've let people down, and ultimately didn't know how else to deal with it. So I chose alcohol to try and help me get through that. Of course, now there's so many different people to speak to over these issues, and knowing that there was help there and there was people there for me to speak to, but I chose not to do that and tried to deal with it myself. And well, I think when you do that and you don't take the help and guidance of others, then you can really be in a low place, and I was for a few years with that. So yeah, it's a different type of struggle, different type of pressure, but also one which I struggled at first to deal with, and thankfully now I know how to deal with that, and I'm not afraid to go and speak to people over some issues which you may have. Both, of course, you'll have them both in your professional life and in personal life, but it's so important that you speak out to people and take their help and guidance as well when needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I was always quite lucky because a lot of the lads had finished training, and I used to have friends that used to message me and say, has Rob got home yet? And I'd be like, oh gosh, it's been 0 hours. No, he's just walked in through the door. But they always used to go for like cheeky coffees and stuff, didn't they? But Rob was always kind of really family man, so he'd always rush home, to be fair. He'd always, if they were ever out on a night out, he'd always kind of backdoor it and be the first to come home. And I was always really cautious because I was thinking, everyone's going to think it's me, but it was just... You weren't really a party animal, so it's quite boring.
Paul Scholes was the same. So I was always one who'd be staying out, but Scholes used to always... He'd be there and then you'd look around, think,
where's he gone?
He'd be gone for hours. Yeah.
Right, we've got Rob's next question. I'm a bit worried about this one. Here we go.
I do like to have a joke, Wayne, and to make everyone laugh, and you'll have to really think about your answer here, because I'm going to get you in trouble. Who's been your favourite teammate throughout your career, and who's been your worst, and why?
It's a good question. Best teammate, I'd probably say Darren Fletcher. There's a few. There's Darren Fletcher, John O'Shea, Wes Brown, Michael Carrick. We were all really close, but Fletch probably was the one who we sat next to each other in the dressing room, shared really good moments on and off the pitch together, and yeah, really good friend. So I'd probably say Darren Fletcher is my best teammate, if you like, and closest. And then my worst teammate, there's a lot more than you probably think, to be honest.
Can you spill the beans?
On the pitch, I'd say that the toughest one was Lewis Nanny. He was frustrating to play with, so that's probably it. I'm sure it's the same in rugby as well. You're obviously teammates and you fight for each other and you do everything you can to support each other on the pitch. And but off the pitch, certainly in football, there's players who you don't see outside of football. But yeah, probably on the pitch, Nanny. Off the pitch, everyone who I hung out with and went for food and drink or whatever that was with, were all like really close to me. So.
How are you finding being a manager rather than a player? Enjoying it or wishing you were still out there yourself? And how are you trying to inspire the next generation of players to come through?
Yeah, of course, you always wish you were still out there. I think I've put a little bit too much weight on now, so I don't think I'll be able to get out there at the minute. But no, I'd love it. I love being a manager, and I love trying to, give my knowledge, obviously my experience of playing at the highest level for 20 years. I think more importantly, players now and society is completely different, the culture is completely different to what it was when I was growing up. So, and you do have to be really careful now, and there's different platforms there which it makes it more accessible to get to players, in particular social media, where there's some really great benefits of social media, but also some great downfalls as well. So I think players need to be careful. But in terms of putting my ideas across, getting the team to play the way I want them to play, it's a challenge, and it's something which I've always been up for, a challenge, and it's the next best thing, of course, if you can't play it, to be involved and try and have a big influence, especially on young players, and try and develop them is something I'm really passionate about.
I want to ask you about your thoughts on female match officials and managers. Should we see more women not only refereeing but also managing in the top flight? And do you think it'll be an environment that's welcoming to them or confrontational?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I think when we first came for Birmingham, it was a female referee, and she's done a good job. And when I was over in the MLS, the best referee we had was a female. So I think that crossover is coming for sure, which I think is great for the game. And everyone looks in the past as a man's game and etc. But the more and more females coming in, the different point of views you get, the different there's different situations you get, and I think it's great for the game that it's evolving, because I think it needs to. And we had the Forest Green, the first female manager, even though it didn't last for long. I think that was groundbreaking, and I think Emma Hayes at Chelsea, I think she's been linked with a few jobs. So I think once we get the first female manager in, and who comes in and does well, I'm sure we'll start to see more and more females in the game.
Girl power.
I think it's fair to say, Wayne, we've both got pretty amazing wives. This is a question I'm going to ask of everyone I interview on my podcast. What advice would you give to your 7-year-old self if you could speak to them today?
The advice I'd give to me 7-year-old self, I think, would be enjoy it, because it's hard work. I joined the academy when I was 9 at Everton, and it's hard work. It's a lot of sacrifice, and it's a long road to firstly reach your goal of playing professional, but to sustain it, and as we keep talking about the pressures of all that, but in the middle of all that, you forget to enjoy it. Football, in my point of view, and is a game which you grow up playing on the streets, playing with your friends, and you're playing it. You still see grown men playing Sunday League football. It's something which everyone loves to do, to talk about, and then, but for some reason, when you play at a professional level, you forget to enjoy it, because of the pressures of fans, of your managers, of your coaches. In the middle of all that, I think it's really important that you enjoy it. So And still now, if I was speaking to my 7-year-old self, or obviously I've got a 7-year-old son, it's something which I always say when I pick my kids up from training. Did you enjoy it? Or before they all, make sure you enjoy it, because that's the most important thing for me.
Thanks for chatting to me, Wayne. It's always great when we're able to meet up. I wish every success with the new club, and it's great having you at home in British football. Is there anything else you'd like to add or ask me?
Rob, absolutely great to see you. As I said, I think keep fighting, mate. You're an inspiration not just to myself but to millions around the world, and obviously in particular the north, the working class backgrounds. Really look up to you, and obviously with Lindsay and your kids, what you're dealing with. I know it's tough, but you're really showing you can elevate yourselves as people, as a family, and it's a real credit to each other.